What's going on YouTube? Today we got another deck profile. This time it's the first place locals deck I decided to play this past weekend, which was Labrynth. I won the week before as well, but I didn't upload it because transaction rollback wasn't out yet. Didn't really see the point um, in uploading a profile without the rollback. I will also like to preface this video by saying this is a locals build. This is not a regional or YCS level of the build, and I only had 2 rollbacks for the event. There weren't any games that I lost because I didn't have the 3rd rollback, and it is definitely needed at 3, I will say, because there were games where I really just wanted it to help end it faster. Definitely never lost any games because I didn't have it, though. Before we get into the profile, I want to shout out Marshall and Brendan for loaning me cards to finish this deck, notably the Angels and the rollbacks themselves. And yeah, we're just going to go and get right into it. Like I said, 1 locals. Feature matches will be up later in the week as well. I had the 3rd and 4th round feature, but I like to give more variety, so I didn't just upload nothing but my deck. So 3 Arias, mandatory now. 3 Ariana. I see a lot of people playing Ariane, I think is what she's called, the other one. And I don't see anything wrong with it. I just personally haven't tested it to try it. I've only played lab at the 2 locals and like once online, never played it outside of that. And then for the last of the actual lab monsters, we got the 2 lady and 2 lovely. This ratio is pretty like defined now. There's no real contention about this. You don't ever really want to play 3 of this. If you're playing 1, you're kind of crazy. And this card's just obnoxious, so you got to play the 1. For the furniture, also, pretty unanimously decided upon that this was the correct ratio for the lab furniture. This makes it so you have so much access to your welcome labyrinths that your game just progresses so fast. It's unlike any other trap deck we've seen before. And I think that's why I like this deck so much. For the other monsters, you got 3 Ash, 3 Nib. Again, this is kind of falling out of favor now because you don't really need it. But like I said, it's geared towards my locals where there's like a lot of like grindy combo decks where Nib just strictly punishes. And then you get the pitch it with the IKEA cards as well. And then the 2 shufflers. Never once saw them. And sided them out quite a lot. Honestly, these might just move to the side deck. But it's also really nice being able to shuffle back like your really powerful one-ofs, like the Labrynth. Shuffling back these back in for the mid-game. But it's mainly there to help deal with Fire King and other more grindy graveyard matchups like Tier. This deck actually has an abhorred matchup against Fire King, so having cards like this is very important. The spells are pretty simple, just the 1 Labrynth, and 3 Extrav. You have to play Extravagance in this deck. You just need to draw cards. You need the raw card advantage. Prosperity, seeing 1 card doesn't really matter. Just being able to have multiples is always important, unless your hand is like all Labrynth monsters. For the traps, 3 big and 2 little welcome. Definitely don't need 3 of this. This card's basically infinitely recyclable. There's no reason to ever play 3. Just cloggy. This one's crazy. I wanted to play the other Labrynth spell, actually. I think it's called Labrynth Setup. Because being able to get back your banished ones is really important for the grind. But like I said, I haven't really played the deck too much to know how important it really was. And I did miss it. So maybe in this list find room for that. Maybe cut the shufflers. 3 Imperm, standard. Gives you 9 hand traps, which is a lot of defensive cards. And then, as stated in the beginning of the video, only 2 rollback. Never lost because I didn't have the 3rd, but would have loved the 3rd just to have it. I think you have to play 3 of this card. I mean, it's just nuts. And then the Eradicator to go with it. You definitely don't have to play this. I genuinely never did this, even when I had the opportunity to, except against 1 person at the locals we went before the main locals. I did it once and felt terrible, but I wanted to try it. You don't need to do it. And there's also a lot of debate going on with the TCG ruling exclusive, like for this, if this even works. So always ask your head judge before your tournament, see how they feel about it. Because if it doesn't work the way that it's supposed to, then I shouldn't even say supposed to because it's how the OCG works. We're not the OCG, obviously. So just ask your head judge. It should determine if you play this card or not. And then I played two just singleton traps, being Daruma Cannon and Dogmatic of Punishment. These cards are great. Punishment, most of the time, I'll be honest with you, because I only played one Intis, I ended up pitching like random cards like Typhon and like my Super Poly targets, which was really funny. And that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, so this is where like the real money of the deck comes from. And I will tell you now, if you're trying to play on a budget for this deck, I know that transaction rollbacks are expensive and big welcomes are expensive. But if you can justify buying those and you're worried that you just don't have like 2 or 3 Chaos Angels, I promise you, like, Chaos Angel doesn't come up enough where it's going to like single-handedly win the game. And you definitely don't need it. You could just make it work with more Super Poly targets or just more cards. Like Psychic End Punisher that you can use for normal summoning Ash and stuff. Anyway, 2 Angel, only have access to 2, shout out to Brendan. And then 2 SP Little Knights, and 2 Muckraker. I only own 2 of each of these. I would play 3 of this one at minimum. That one's crazy. The SP never really comes up at 2 or 3, and then Chaos Angel. Ironically, I only ever made last week whenever I only had access to 1 of them. And I made it all the time, and this week when I had access to 2, I never made it. So if you're worried about budget and you can like justify spending about $250 to $300 just for the rollbacks, big welcomes, and the rest of the deck core, you can definitely just make your extra deck with other cards. You do not have to play those cards. And then I have a couple of random links. The Link Karibo is in here because I don't have Clara Roshka, whatever she's called. The Link one that's on main phase 2 for Little Knight. And most of the time you're summoning this guy back to the field, so that's the Link climb for that. It also puts itself back in the grave. It puts the Coup Clock back in grave so you can trigger it again on the next turn. Dark is for stealing opponents' SP Little Knights, or in the mirror you can steal their bigs. And then this is just to out big monsters. Then I played Super Poly, as I alluded to before. Pretty much all these came up at least once, especially Mud Dragon. Being able to go dark and prevent your cards from being targeted is just crutch. Such a cool little combo. And then Entis for the punishment. I guess nowadays with some of the crazy decks going on, you could in theory actually make this. And then Typhon. I would have liked to use my brain and remembered my Abyss Dweller, and I'd probably fit that in here somewhere. Probably over either Dark or a Super Poly target. Dark came up once in a feature match, but the Dweller is really important, and that's where the other level 4 comes in. But since I didn't play her, I didn't feel pressured to play Dweller, but I would have liked to have had it, if that makes sense. And then finally for the side, I'll go ahead and show my side again. Please keep in mind, everything's geared towards my particular local meta. If you guys would like to see a YCS variant or a regional variant of the deck where I go much more in depth with certain tech choices, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'm currently behind on some other decks like Rescue Ace and stuff, but I know Labrynth and Fire King are the two new hotnesses, so we'll prioritize those. Anyway, for the side, 3 sphere mode. This could be interchanged between Lava Golem and this. I like this because there's a lot more combo. And then the 3 Bystials. If Unchained was still more popular, this would just be the 3rd Druis Worm. But with Unchained taking a back seat, this is just a lot better being able to grind, getting the 4th copy of a card back. Then for the other cards, you got 3 Super Poly. Cards cracked at the moment. Just there are so many decks you could put this in going second against and just like clear the whole board, and then just like establish a stranglehold. I like decided going first as like interruption, because there's a lot of like really weird cards you can cut from the main deck going first that just don't really work as well. Like cutting these against certain matchups is just like free. So there's a lot of just like extra room to be had. And then I played 3 Solemn Judgments, just to protect against Lightning Storm and Evenly. You definitely don't need this. Your deck is pretty Lightning Storm and Evenly proof. I wanted it due to ignorance of how to play the deck to its fullest potential. And then 3 Summon Limit. Pretty weird to side this in against, or in a deck that relies so much on spells and traps where you're going to get hit by things like Cosmic and stuff like that. But I wanted it just like, because it was so powerful if it resolved. However, going forward, definitely think I'm just going to play cards like these because they work better. They don't lose as hard to Cosmic and stuff, and you can just like set them and everything off of your Lady or Lovely. I don't remember which one it is, but you get to set them off one of them. And that's it for the deck profile. Labrynth's a lot of fun. Truthfully, it's really weird saying a trap deck is fun, but like the way that this deck works and interacts with the board is a lot different than any other trap deck. Like it reminds me a lot of Trap Tricks, but like, you know, good. So that's why I like it. If you guys want to see a budget version of this deck, let me know in the comment sections down below. I am currently working on budget decks for the next format from Phantom Nightmare and up, and we'll upload those when I feel comfortable with some lists. I don't have a lot of time to play right now, so I haven't been able to test as much as I would like. But remember to comment, rate, subscribe. Thank you again, Marshall and Brendan, for loaning me cards to play this deck and get this content out there. Be sure to check out the feature matches, which will be uploaded over the week, and we'll be doing every week that I'm at locals. And yeah, remember to comment, rate, subscribe.